Hello, and welcome to What's Your Testimony? I am one of your hosts, Dr. Sharita Williams, and today I have an amazing guest, Natalie Houston. She's a licensed counselor from Charlotte, North Carolina, and she's going to be talking to us today about holiday stress. With the holidays vastly approaching, Natalie has all kinds of tips that I'm sure that we all can benefit from. And I know at this time of the year that there's a lot of people who are experiencing stress or mental health issue. And as a resource of WYTV7, we are here, we educate, we empower, and we encourage everyone to seek help if needed. And if you don't have a personal counselor, we do offer a 1-800 number, and that's 1-855-973-9368, and we'll post that on our website. But right now, we're going to let you listen to Natalie. Natalie, are you there?
I'm here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being a part.
Yeah. So, yes, I am a licensed professional counselor. I've been practicing since 2003, and I focus mainly on trauma and on couples. I do a lot of work with people who've had trauma of all types, whether it be a job change or a life change, or it could be abuse or neglect or something from their childhood that they're working through. I deal a lot with stress-related issues and work a lot with couples who are either trying to become a strong couple or who are trying to heal and restore from something significant that has happened in their marriage or in their lives together. And so I do primarily a lot of work around trauma and stress, anxiety. So whether it's couples, individuals, I do groups, and I do specifically focus a lot on adult survivors of childhood sexual abuse. So
well, with that being said, with the holidays
right.
vastly approaching, what are the stressors at holiday time?
Well, I think that there are three main stressors during the holidays. One is that there's a lot of extras. There's extra events, extra tasks, preparations, expectations, a lot of demands, a lot of traffic, a lot of weather issues sometimes, and that can be all of those issues happen with work, with family, and just end of the year kind of stressors, because at work they're trying to wrap things up for the end of the year, and you're trying to celebrate all kinds of things that have happened through the year, and so there's a lot going on. And then I think another stressor is that we tend to want things to be perfect during the holidays, and that is just
that can cause a lot of anxiety. Absolutely.
It does. It causes a lot of anxiety, and we tend to sacrifice ourselves for the sake of everything being perfect or trying to please other people, please our family, or have the table set just right. And there's nothing wrong with wanting things to be excellent and to be beautiful, but that's what we should be seeking, is beauty and excellence, not perfection. Because with perfection, we something will always tend to go wrong, right?
Right. And with that being said, what are the three principles that can help with those stressors?
Well, let me give you one more stressor for the holidays, and that's family.
Okay.
So family expectations, personality or family conflicts, those things tend to be probably the most significant stressor. So the things that'll keep us focused, the three principles that I'm saying will help with managing those stressors is keep focused, manage things well, and be prepared. So how can we do those things?
Yes.
So one thing about keeping focused is we really need to remember why we are doing what we're doing. You know, why are we celebrating? Who are we celebrating? What's the reason that we're celebrating these holidays? Is it because of the gifts? We tend to get wrapped up in whether or not it's, you know, the gifts or, you know, just following the demands of the family. And I think what we all long for, what we all deeply desire is connection and love, and to have real meaning in what we are, what we're doing, you know? And so it's important to stay centered on the reason that we're celebrating, to stay centered on by, you know, sometimes we need to set some boundaries and have some reminders of, you know, why we're doing what we're doing. So having some intentions throughout the day of, okay, let me start my day and just focus on or meditate on what is it that I'm desiring? What is it that I really long to get out of today? Not what do people tell me I have to do, but how can I just be present and connected with others during this time? So
like myself, Natalie, personally, like with myself, I'm easily connected with people, but my anxiety come in when I think I try to do too much. I put too much on my plate. You know, I know that I've got to shop and do by X, Y, Z, or did I get someone else something and didn't get someone else something, or the anxiety when somebody else show up for dinner and then do I need to get them something? So sometimes I get overwhelmed with just the details.
Yeah.
So when you're involved with the details, when you get so caught up with the details, you miss the whole purpose. So how can I rein back in to just to enjoy the holiday and get the stress off?
Yes, absolutely. Well, that's good, because that's kind of where I'm heading. You know, part of it is staying focused on the moment, being connected with yourself, not just with other people. And so staying in tune with what you're needing, what you're desiring, what your intentions are. Sometimes we have to just start when it's quiet at the beginning of the day, and then at the end of the day do some reflection. And sometimes it's helpful to check in throughout the day. So this kind of goes into how we manage well, you know. If we just keep in focus, what we really need and long for the most during the holidays is love, right? I mean, that's why we're doing all these things. We want to show love with our gifts. We want to show love by paying attention to those details. But keep in mind, keep centered with loving myself, loving God, loving others, and giving out of our abundance. And we can't give out of our abundance if we're sapped of energy. And so it's kind of prioritizing and deciding what is most important. But we also, one thing that really helps is to focus on gratitude. So when we focus on gratitude, that actually changes our brain and it helps us stay centered and focused. And so the details don't become overwhelming. The details, we are able to focus on what's most important, and that's the people and the things that we have around us that are most meaningful. And so sometimes we need to prepare. Sometimes we need to know our limits and our desires ahead of time so that we don't get caught up in those details. So we need to be proactive on those. Need to know what you're going to do if other people are not satisfied with your performance in those things. But I think the most important thing is just being present and connected. If you attend to what's going on inside of you, you're going to be much more able to meet other people, being present there. And the details don't become quite so overwhelming. It's good to make lots of lists for the details and then accept our limits and recognize, okay, I did the best I could. Giving you time to yourself.
Okay, and I understand that, but when that doesn't work, at the end of the day, I'm not able to manage my anxiety well. When do I need to seek more help, as with you, professional help?
Well, I think if you don't mind, if we can talk just a moment about how we manage well with the
Absolutely.
Yeah, because that'll lead into what you just asked me. So I think it's important to create some personal time for yourself so that you can decompress and give yourself space to think and space to reflect on taking care of yourself. And choose your battles. You can't do everything. And when the stress is getting overwhelming, check in with yourself. Take a moment to go to the bathroom or to take away, get away for just a second so that you can recollect yourself. And one of the best things that you can do is to stay focused on, okay, what's happening inside of me right now? What am I noticing about my body, about my breathing, about my energy level, and how can I be kind to myself? What do I need to do to be kind to myself? And so gratitude, kindness, taking steps to take care of you will help a lot. But if you get to the point where that's not enough, then seeking extra help is very helpful. So when do you need to seek professional help or additional help? Maybe not a professional counselor, maybe a pastor, or maybe a mentor or a coach. One thing is, if your family is very triggering, then it's really important to get some additional help. If you're struggling to stay present, or you have lots of shame, or you tend to get caught in the cycle of fight, flight, or freeze, or if you tend to struggle with staying purposeful and keeping up with your goals, then it's important to get some help with that. Also, just for self-awareness, it's helpful to have someone to walk with you through the intensity of emotions and stress, and to help you stay in line with the purpose that you have over the holidays. So how do you find those people that will help you? One, I think it's free to find like-minded people who are personal connections that keep checking in with you. To be intentional and with setting meetings with that person, whether it's just a cup of coffee at Starbucks, or if you are, if you just have a meeting somewhere to really go through even a checklist of questions. Okay, how are you doing? What is it that you need to relax on? What is it that you need to be most focused on? How can you take care of you? Someone who's really there for you to take care of you, to help you focus on the right things. There are online counselor directories as well. So if you look at, just Google the therapist in Charlotte, North Carolina, and you'll get to some of those directories, but some of them, psychologytoday.com, therapydirectory.com, let's see, oh, that's not, it's Theravive, I'm sorry, theravive.com. Those are a few. Goodtherapy.com, that's another one. So there's a lot of counselor directories out there, but those are several.
Now, Natalie, in your profession, do
Yeah.
you see that anxiety levels or seeking help with people with their anxiety level, do you feel like it goes with the seasons, that people tend to be more stressed during holidays, or people tend to be more stressed in the winter, or it just varies?
I think part of that depends on where you live. In rural areas, it's different than in the city. In the city, I find it far more stressful because of increased traffic and so on. It also depends on if you live in colder weather, where it's kind of dark all winter long, gray skies all winter long. And so in the northern states, it is so much more common for people to need extra counseling during the holidays. In the South, I've noticed it's different, where people tend to pull away from counseling and focus more on family and so on. And we have sunny skies, and it's a lot easier to manage during the holidays. So I think part of it is the weather. The weather can be a stressor, and part of it could be a seasonal depression if you are in one of those regions where it's gray or cloudy or snowy all winter long. So I've lived in both types of places, and I can say I'm very glad to live where it's sunny now. So it helps to ask around to see if who's a good therapist. Ask your friends, ask your family, ask your pastor or your mentor or someone, and about who's a good therapist. And if you and there's lots of podcasts, apps, YouTube videos that are really helpful for how to deal with stress. And so there's a lot of ways that you can deal with those seasonal things, or the kind of the area that you live in. Like if you don't have a lot of access to a counselor, then that can be rough. There are online counseling resources, but maybe you want someone more personal. So yeah.
Well, I have observed that since there's been more mental health awareness,
Yeah.
People are more apt to seek help. People are more apt to seek help now that there is awareness. I think people were afraid to admit or to self-reflect that there is something not quite right, or my anxiety level is high, or I'm stressed.
Yeah.
And I think people were embarrassed to seek help. But with so much mental health awareness things going on, I think people are seeking more help. Do you find that to be true?
Yes and no. I think that we have a difficulty in our country with admitting when we need help. And so we tend to seek help at the last minute, or when it's already, like you should have gotten help like 6 months ago, so or 3 years ago, so we tend to, in this country, hold things off until we're just so fed up that we can't deal with it anymore. But I think there is a greater acceptance. There's definitely more awareness now, and a greater sense of willingness to get help. But there's still a lot of stigma around mental health, and I would just say it's in my opinion, and the way I do counseling, it's much more about wellness. And I think it, just like you take care of your body by going to the gym or going to the chiropractor or the acupuncturist or the doctor, like, it's just as important to take care of your insides, the emotional self, because that also feeds into what your body is dealing with. You know, our bodies hold emotion and hold all of the tight muscles and everything when there's a lot of stress. So it's really important that we take care of our internal world as well.
Well, I find that especially, and I'll just use in the Black culture, I see more people not going to counselors. I mean, they usually administer, which is good, which, you know, or
Sure.
they'll use a friend. But I think it's because of the awareness, I feel like in my culture, more people are coming forward to seek help. As you said, you know, we go to the gym. Why don't we seek help for our mind? And there's so much stuff focusing on wellness.
Mm-hmm.
I think things are turning around. I think things are fastly turning around for mental health.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm also aware that we just have about 10 minutes left. I definitely see that. You mentioned the cultural aspect, and that is a huge part of whether or not someone will seek out counseling. And so I encourage people to try. It doesn't mean that you're committing to something for 3 years. It means that you go and you try it out and you say, you know, if it doesn't work this time, maybe I need to try a different therapist. Give it a few sessions and see what you can benefit out of it.
Well, in this last 10 minutes, can you kind of give us a couple or a few tips that we can do if we're in a stressful situation that we can do maybe to calm ourselves until we can seek a professional help?
Sure. Well, there are a lot of apps online that can help with that as well, or not online, but on your phone even. You can find the Calm app or the Abide app, and they can help with like guided meditations and deep breathing. So the deep breathing kind of thing is extremely helpful. And then I think just staying centered with, it's called being grounded. So staying centered by just noticing what's happening in my body, where do I feel that, what's the intensity of it, and then you can use deep breathing to work through that. You can do some meditation, some prayer. I would also encourage you to do grounding in the sense of what are the five senses? What am I seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, touching? What are those things that are around me? That helps us stay centered. Because if I'm connecting to what's out external, then I don't get taken away by the internal stress so much. Another thing, though, is if the stress is extremely intense, it's helpful to grab something cold. So something like a cold drink with lots of ice in it, or if you just want to grab some ice or an ice pack, it helps us to stay centered, helps us to stay focused. So in particularly stressful times on the holidays with family, stressful times on the holidays with family, it seems maybe counterintuitive to get an ice cold drink when it's cold outside, but that will help you stay centered. It'll help you stay connected with your body that way. So what we tend to do is disconnect and kind of feel like our bodies and our mind and emotions are separated, and we're kind of behind ourselves or outside of ourselves. But to stay centered and grounded, it's helpful to do the breathing, helpful to have a cold drink or something that is cold that we can hold on to. And it helps to just connect and meditate on what's happening in our bodies and what's going on in the room. So,
well, now, Lynn, do you have a website or a 1-800 number that if someone wanted to get in contact with you, that we can give, that you can give us?
Sure. Well, my cell phone number, which is my business number, it's 980-253-9841, and I can work with anyone online in North Carolina, but I can also, if people come to my office, anybody can come to my office. The other resource would be my website, which is www.restoringjourneys.com. That's RestoringJourneys.com. Restoringjourneys.com.
Well, Natalie, we'd like to thank you for being our guest today on WYTV7. We'd like to thank our listeners. We would like to thank our broadcasters, all of our broadcasters for listening, our listeners. We'd like to thank WYTV7 Christian Broadcast Network. And if you are out there listening and you need some help and you don't know who to contact, maybe you are afraid, maybe you are embarrassed, you can reach out to the 1-800 number, and that's 1-855-973-9368. That way you can get some help, because here at WYTV7, we are trying to make sure that everyone is educated, empowered on everything that that is available. We are a resource for people, and we would like to just thank everyone for coming out and listening to WYTV7, What's Your Testimony? And we would like to thank Natalie Houston for being our guest today. And this is Dr. Sharita Williams signing off, and thank you for being a listener. And if you would like to donate to WYTV7, you can go to WYTV7.org. That's WYTV7.org. Thank you for listening, and have a great day.
And thank you for having me.